Now, we've spoken about Pakistan, we've also spoken about Sri Lanka, Saudi Arabia, America, the UK. Here is another country that has been in the news since the beginning of the year. Russia. It invaded Ukraine, rampaged through neighborhoods, flattened Mariupol, and now as the Russian troops move towards the Donbas regions, horror stories have started surfacing from some parts of Ukraine. Among them are stories of rape and chemical weapons. Before we get to this report, we would like to tell you the story can be disturbing for some viewers. We advise viewer discretion.
What comes to your mind when someone says weapons of war? Rockets? Perhaps missiles and tanks? What about rape? For the longest time, rape has been used as a weapon of war. It has been used to intimidate civilians, exterminate populations, drive them from their homes. It happened in the Vietnam War, also in Rwanda, in Bosnia during the Balkan Wars, in Iraq, to Yazidi women. They were held as sex slaves and raped. Is history repeating itself in Ukraine?
Hundreds of cases of rape have been recorded, including underage girls, very young children, and even a baby. It's just scary to talk about it now.
Russian soldiers are being accused of raping Ukrainian women. This is Katerina Cherepaka. She runs an NGO in Ukraine. Cherepaka claims her NGO has been receiving some really distressing calls.
For today, we have 9 cases of rape by Russian soldiers in the temporarily occupied towns and villages. About 12 women and girls, children. Reports from Kievska, Khersonska, and Chernigivska Oblast, reported by the survivors themselves and by the witnesses. Raped by a group of occupants, multiple times.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, she says. Cherepaka was speaking at a United Nations Security Council meeting. Ukraine's ambassador to the UN, Sergei Kislitsia, backed her claims. He said the withdrawal of Russian troops has revealed evidence of unimaginable suffering. He listed torture, sexual violence, rape and mutilation.
The prosecutor's office is now investigating the case happened in Brovary district, Kyiv region, when a Russian soldier killed a local resident and then repeatedly raped his wife in their private house.
News agency AFP reports that a woman was sexually assaulted by 2 Russian soldiers after they learned that her husband was in the Ukrainian forces. Russia denies all of this.
We see a clear intention to present Russian soldiers as sadists and rapists.
The Kremlin maintains it has not waged a war against Ukraine civilians. The United Nations is verifying claims from both sides. There are allegations that Russian soldiers may have raped women in front of children. There are also claims that Ukrainian forces and civil defense militias may have committed sexual violence.
We are increasingly hearing of rape and sexual violence. These allegations must be independently investigated to ensure justice and accountability.
The story only goes downhill from here. Russia is also being accused of using chemical weapons in Mariupol. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hama Maliar says the claims have not been verified yet. But there is a quote-unquote theory that Russia could have used phosphorus munition. First things first, what is a chemical weapon? The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, or OPCW, defines it as any chemical that causes death, incapacitation, or permanent harm. During World War I, for example, sulfur mustard was used in Belgium and Ypres. At least 90,000 people died. There was a chemical attack on Halabja in Iraq. It was in 1988 during the Iran-Iraq War. In August 2013, a sarin gas strike killed hundreds on the outskirts of Damascus. The West blames Syrian government forces for the mass killings. Focus has now shifted to Russia. Ukraine claims Russia may too have used chemical weapons in Mariupol. President Volodymyr Zelensky is not surprised.
I want to remind world leaders that a possible use of chemical weapons had been already discussed by the Russian military. At the time, it meant the reaction to the Russian aggression should have been harsher and faster.
The West says all retaliatory options are on the table.
The use of chemical weapons is abhorrent. It does cross a line, and all options are on the table for how we would respond.
The 1997 Chemical Weapons Convention bans the production, stockpiling and use of chemical weapons. Both Russia and Ukraine happen to be members of the OPCW.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.